Alright, I just wanted to make a quick video talking about every character in the Gearless series, because some of them are literally just dead in patch 0.3. So we're gonna... So I have an opportunity to technically make the warrior into a Warcry build. By switching to Warbringer. The problem is that they're basically making it so unarmed skills cannot be used unarmed. So now you need to use a quarterstaff, and it uses the damage of the quarterstaff, and because it requires the damage of the weapon, doing it gearless is literally going to be impossible. They used to have scaling damage, so every time I got a new gem level, it felt like a little bit of a buff. But now it's literally just going to be impossible. Even if it was possible for me to get Hollow Palm, they don't scale, right? So, sadly, this is just a dead character. Like, unless I switch them to, like, you know, Corrupting Cry with War Cries or something and make that work, this character is just dead. The Mercenary totems are now going to scale off the weapon, rather than having their own base damage. I was really excited about the patch notes at first, seeing that I would probably just go switch the character from Gemling Legionnaire over to Tactician. But then I saw that all of the totems now are going to scale off the weapon rather than having their own flat damage, which again kills the gearless character. If you have no gear, you can't scale. Now, that said, I could let myself have a weapon. That is an option. I could switch so that I have a weapon. And maybe that's the option. Maybe I'll go back and I'll let myself have a crossbow, and I'll let myself have a quarterstaff. Maybe that's the way to go with those. But moving on to my other ones, I just want to talk about them quick. We have the Concoction Ranger. This character was both nerfed and buffed, I guess. So they're nerfed because the cost of the Concoction throws went up by they went up from 3 to 5, and so this is going to require way more stalling and stuff, and it's just not going to be that fun. Yeah, I'm really not looking forward to that. They made it so the shock is, like, the chance of shock is way higher. They made it so it doesn't scale off of your unarmed damage, and instead only scales off the damage of the concoction, which I don't know if that affects me per se. It probably barely affects this character. And then they're removing exposure from fulminating concoction. However, I feel like I'm still going to be using fulminating because I was so open to attributes that I could probably just throw a frost bomb into my build. And since I'm going to have to, like, literally combo in order for this character to get stuff done due to requiring 5 flash charges instead of 3 flash charges, I'm going to have to probably focus more on some sort of crazy, whatchamacallit, I'm blanking. I'm going to have to probably focus more on, you know, making a combo that uses my resources better, because I still have to get up to Alchemist Spoon, which I think I still needed 2 more gem levels to get, and that means I also still have to find a Spirit Gem. And then after I get Alchemist Spoon, I still have to figure out, like, flash charges. I kind of had it working in 0.1 at the end of Act 3, but now that they nerfed it, I feel like it's going to kind of feel like crap. This character would basically never be possible now to get to Act 3, at least in a meaningful amount of time. they nerfed the stuff so hard, unless I was to allow myself to have a blue flask with increased charges, right? Yeah, so sadly this character is nerfed, but I think they're still playable. Monk. In all honesty, this character is just a literal meme, but the Vine Arrow was not really nerfed. Chunk is getting changed, which does nerf me a little bit. Basically, they made it so that you can only have one Vine up at a time, but that doesn't matter because the main thing was just bossing. So, you know, I can throw out a Vine, and the boss, it lasts 8 seconds instead of 6. And then Chunk's getting a few changes, so instead of getting double effect of the healing from Into the Breach, I can only get up to 50%, and I think that's based on your character level. So that's a big nerf. However, I can select to only get healing, which is maybe a buff. I need to think about this a little bit, but yeah. The other thing is they fixed the bug that allowed me to have multiple reservation things on Into the Breach, and so this means I might lose some power there too. So this character was kind of buffed, kind of nerfed. Next, Witch. This character still needs to do Act 3 Ascendancy Trial. And I'm not going to just go do it right now, knowing that they're kind of like nerfing the character. I don't really want to just, like, I think I think part of the series is just going to be that I'm dealing with the changes they do as they come. And so this character, I'm just going to have to go do Act 3 Ascendancy when I go do Act 4. They changed the increased. So when I played this one, it could get infinite demon form stacks. I say infinite, but it was really around like 50, which was just absolutely bonkers, and it gave me like huge amounts of DPS. But now the max would be 10, and then I'd have to go do the Ascendancy Trial to get the unlimited. But on top of that, instead of giving increased now, it's going to give what's it called? More. And I don't know if this will be worse. I feel like the answer is yes, because I'm also losing my plus to level. And I think I was getting +5 to the level of the gems. And so I think this character is heavily nerfed. I think Demon Form Witch might be very hard to play Gearless now. Because it expects you to have a weapon now. I mean, this is kind of literally the theme of most of these changes, is that GGG is kind of like forcing you to have a weapon, which, I mean, these are snowflake accounts, so that makes sense. Alright, I'm going to record Sork again just because I rambled way too much and got lost in thoughts. Sork is the most changed character since I ran it in 0.1. This was also the first character I ran. Basically, the new Remnant system is changing a ton with Sork. For the most part, I'm not going to really use any skills that use the Remnants. I think the one that uses Ice is Spark, which I don't really care to use. And Cold Snap now will be able to do all damages to, like, all damage types to the target based on the ailment they had on them. Now, I can continue to play this character as just a freeze character, so that's fine. But maybe I'll be a little bit more lenient away from my original thought of trying to make them all unique, and just make this an all-element character. We'll see. I don't know. I want to keep it as an ice character just because then I still have all the types of characters. But again, we'll see. The other change was that Frostbolt now has more chill effect. It doesn't put chilling ground, which will make mobbing a little bit more annoying, because all I was doing near the end of the character was I was literally just spamming Frostbolt as I walked through areas, and the chilled ground would just make it so enemies could just never get to me. So this will nerf the character a little bit. And the last big change was that Frostwall now deals 80% less damage in the first 0.5 seconds. This is to nerf the change where you could just, the thing where you could just spam Frostwall on a boss and it would just do huge burst damage, which I did for Viper and Doriani. So this is just gone. Would I have been eventually able to get through Viper without Frostwall? Yes. Would I have gotten through Doriani? Probably. The fight would have been a lot longer. So who knows? So other changes though, specifically about the Ascendancy Stormweaver. Stormweaver now has had its Ascendancy that gave the exposure increased, like additional exposure, completely changed. So now it makes it so that remnants you create reappear once 3 seconds after being collected. If I decide to keep this, I don't know how the respec's gonna work. If the respec does respec your Ascendancies, which it should, then I'll need to think about this one, because if I'm not using something that uses remnants, then it's not worth having them reappear, right? So, yeah, this one's a little bit weird. I used to be able to get like 100-something% exposure, and now it'll probably be closer to like 60 or 70, but who knows, because Frostbomb is also able to tick up its exposure every tick, so with persistence on it and stuff, maybe it'll be able to get back to around the same amount anyway. They did nerf the way exposure works on enemies, I believe, so that it now doesn't go as high on uniques or something like that. But I'm not really worried about that. I think that this character will still be alright. By no means will it be great. But like, I mean, it's a Geos character. What am I expecting? Them changing everything to just trying to be like one element as exposure and curse and stuff is going to be really nice, just because I don't have to really put any thought into anything. Arcane Surge is also getting changed, actually. I should talk about that. They're making it so it gives increased cast speed instead of more cast speed, which I think this is a buff. Just because I didn't have any increased cast speeds really on the character, so increased is basically the same as more, I think, when you have literally nothing. So that's nice. It was 10% more, and now it's 15% increased, so in theory this should be a buff. What else? I don't think there's anything else about the character. It should be interesting. I don't know. I'm gonna probably just do the Concoction Ranger for Act 4 and the interludes, just because I want to do a character that does the interludes. Just so that I have that, as well as characters that did all 6 acts. So I'm probably going to do my Concoction Ranger, because it was the strongest character in terms of just consistency of damage. The only problem being having to wait for flasks. And I'm worried that the Witch is going to have the problem of not doing as much damage anymore, but maybe I'm overthinking it. And at the same time, I kind of just want to stream doing the Ranger as soon as the act comes out, and it's already prepared, ready to go. Right, I just have to quickly do my tree respec. So that's probably what's going to happen. And I think that's everything with the characters. I really need to think about what I'm going to do with the mercenary and the warrior. Like I said, the warrior, I might go ahead and try and switch over to a corrupting cry build, just because then I'm not using a weapon, and then I might use a weapon on the mercenary just so I can keep the totem thing going. At the start of the videos, when I replay the characters, I'll obviously talk about these, but yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I really wanted to talk about. Thanks for watching. I'll see everyone in the next video.